Have you ever heard of the polar vortex? Well, let's break it all down. It's not something that just develops every once in a while. In fact, it's always there, and it's located around the poles themselves. So here's kind of the basic facts. It's an area of low pressure at both the north and the south poles. It's always present, and it's located miles above the surface. It is weaker in the summer, and it's stronger during the winter season, and it can be disrupted, and that allows for the cold air to move further south, and that means places like Mississippi, Texas, even Florida could see much colder air than they normally do during the winter season. So this is kind of what it looks like. So you have this low over the poles, and that's the polar vortex, and the polar vortex is actually located anywhere between 10 to 30 miles above the surface. This is not to be confused with the polar jet stream. That's located anywhere between 5 to 9 miles above the surface. So you have the polar vortex, and then you have the polar jet stream, and you have Arctic air. So when everything is contained and it's stable, at least the polar vortex, then what's going to happen here is that it's going to be contained, and it's not going to be able to move further south as easily. It's all kind of contained there. As far as with the polar jet stream, it's moving from west to east in terms of our winds, and so that's when it's stable. And because of that, what you're going to get is you're going to get a bubble of warmer air further south throughout the United States. Closer to the poles, that's where you're going to have the really cold air. Further south, that's where it tends to be warmer than normal. And again, this is with a stable pattern of the polar vortex. The polar vortex is always there. It's just a matter of, is it disrupted? Is it stable? Can it move further south? So that's a stable setup. This here would be an unstable setup or disrupted one where it's not contained. And so you can see where it's not forming this circle here. You're seeing kind of two different lobes there, and it's able to move further south. And so with that, you also can get an area of high pressure. You're going to have ridges and troughs with this. And so that low with the polar vortex is weaker, and the cold air is able to push further south. And so high pressure settles in between these dips in the jet stream. And what that means is you're going to have some pockets of really cold air. Then also you have a ridge where it tends to be warmer. So again, the polar vortex is always going to be there. It's just a matter of how stable it is and can it move further south. So along with the polar vortex, when it moves further south and it's disrupted, what it can lead to is extreme cold temperatures, especially further south where they're just not used to it. So you can have dangerous wind chills with the coldest air. Also, this can lead to hard freezes, and that, of course, can cause some damage to sensitive crops. So this here is the polar vortex in a nutshell. Always look around at 2news.com for more weather information, more blogs, and more videos. Have a great day.